Author Casey Sunbeam here. My American mother is 79 years old and has voted Republican, the more conservative of our two U.S. parties, her entire adult life. She watches Fox News and holds traditional values such as opposing sex outside marriage, strongly rejecting LGBT agendas, and supports spanking children. However, she's been saving a newspaper cartoon on her desk. In the first panel, a big Texan states, "The Supreme Court won't allow us to use our abortion laws to put an undue burden on women." In the second panel, the Texan exclaims, "We'll have to do it with pay inequality, sexism, and misogyny like everyone else." I won't address abortion since I fully covered it in another video. If you want my take on that, see my abortion vid. Anyway, the other claims of great unfairness toward women have been absent from conservative rhetoric and wholly associated with far-left liberals. Yet my seemingly conservative mother from the older silent generation supports these ideas. So does that mean they're objectively true? That is, all of male society is crushing women? Or are they just a false sense of entitlement? Now pay inequality. First, from the Stone Age until the 1940s, everyone agreed that men were supposed to be the breadwinners, not women. So the question of women's pay equality in the workplace is like the question of what type of dress and lipstick a man should wear. Then, brought on by extreme circumstances of World War II, things got turned upside down. But let's temporarily pretend that men and women were meant for the same gender roles. If I was a business owner, I'd do whatever I could to fire male employees and hire women who, according to feminists, work the same jobs men do, but for only 77% of the pay. All other business owners would do likewise, making men unemployed and poor, and making women dominant in numerous fields. Think about it. The sensible reason is that men work in different fields and put in more overtime. As a lifetime school teacher, my mother made more money than the average man. And teachers only work 9 months a year, as they get summer vacations when students do. My father made significantly more money yet. That's from working 12 months a year and consistently working overtime, coming home an average of 3 hours later than my mother throughout my childhood, then becoming a business owner instead of a school teacher. Besides, my father always paid the majority of the house bills, always paid the entire restaurant tab, and bought my mother cars, fur coats, and many other things. As for looking up sexism in my unabridged dictionary, I had to see the addenda, as it's a new word largely unheard of before the 1990s. It's defined as prejudice or discrimination based on sex, especially discrimination against women, or behavior, conditions, or attitudes that foster stereotypes of social roles based on sex. In other words, everyone from the Stone Age to the 1960s, including every race, culture, and religion, was wrong to assume or declare that men and women are radically different. On top of that, modern scientists have discovered over 6,500 genetic differences between men and women. Now misogyny, defined as hatred of women. The cartoon claims that all of male society hates women. So this explains that most single men do everything in their power to find a woman? So this explains why supposedly male-controlled society allows women to dump men via divorce, then give women mega millions of dollars of men's money for free through alimony and child support payments? It explains why in societies said to oppress women, male suicide rates quadruple that of women's. It explains why women live longer, rarely go to prison while men are mass incarcerated, and it's predominantly men who suffer catastrophic injuries in the workplace. Actually, that should not only be a no from the facts I've presented, it should be recognized as complete and utter bullshit! And it's dangerous since it reflects misandry. That's hatred of men. And there's enough bigotry against men that my computer spell check tries to tell me that misandry is not a word while having no problem with misogyny. I certainly wouldn't say that all women hate men, as I'd be guilty of presumptuous judgmentalism, Matthew 7, 1-5, as many women are. But it's certainly clear that the great majority of American women at least harbor anywhere from a small sense of false entitlement to an obnoxious, whopping sense of false entitlement. Since this feminism has even beholden so-called conservative women, such as churchgoers, my Republican mother from an older generation, and even our president who spews this poisonous nonsense, I see no hope for this generation. I'll not only be single the rest of my life, I will and do abstain from all female friendships and even acquaintanceship if possible. That's the sensible thing, since my truly classical vision of gender roles, and male-female relationships is in diametric opposition to today's constructs. Regardless, quoting Proverbs 21:19, it is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. As for liberals who contend that there are over 50 different genders or that gender is only a social construct, it behooves me to avoid them and their insanity as I would someone with bubonic plague. I believe that they all know deep down that they're incredibly dishonest. In fact, feminism is pure calumny manufactured for the purpose of making American women feel self-righteous and feel like heroines who've supposedly overcome great odds. If 50% of society considers the other 50% to be the enemy, I would think that society is doomed. It is mutiny and sedition on a global scale. There is certainly hope for the future, but it would take at least a generation to turn things around and would require a revolution. Recommended reading, The Flip Side of Feminism by Suzanne Venker and Phyllis Schlafly. Warren Farrell's The Myth of Male Power, Why Men Are the Disposable Sex. J.D. Unwin's Sex and Culture. That's an older book from the 1920s. And the King James Version Bible. Take care.